to learn the martial arts?
Big surprise. Huge surprise.
I'm starting to get in a bad mood, you know? Maybe it's like a mood swing, my hormones, I don't know. You know, maybe it's my need to impose my will.
Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show, Kickin It. I'm your host, Rob. My guest with me tonight, as always, on Kickin It, the real Dr. V. And Doctor, I want to start off by saying, as we're getting ready to cover this movie tonight, VFW, I'm a little bit under the weather. Obviously, everybody knows here, just west of Warlando in the Pine Hills Palace, where I'm broadcasting live from and streaming the signal out to you. It's a balmy 84 today, a lot of pollen in the air, so I might sound about 94% as opposed to 99 to 100. But I want to thank you personally. And this in no way is endorsing you, because writing prescriptions across state lines may be considered a felony, but I will appreciate the fact that you cut me a prescription for some drug you called hype or something. I don't know, but I'm starting to feel it. So let me ask you, VFW, what did you think about this film? Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts? Freaking loved it.
You're familiar with Grindhouse films, I take it?
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, this is Mandy and this are like one of the two movies I've seen that in the same style like this. I'm not a real big fan for gore, but I mean, if it's done to an actual decent story, it helps out, you know. Like I said, like I don't like where you have you go through all this and then everybody dies. It's depressing, you know. I like it when the good guys win. If I want to see where bad guys win all the time, I'll just watch the news.
True. True. Well, let me start off by saying that you mentioned Mandy, and I was really big on Mandy, and we had reviewed that earlier too. So you said that Mandy came to mind, and you haven't seen a lot of Grindhouse types. A lot of younger people today, I don't think, have seen those types of movies. So what did you notice about the style?
Well, this movie is obviously it's they want gory. It's just in the same similar fashion as The Evil Dead. There was a little bit of comedy in this, you know, but more we're told this was serious. So yeah, so the fire axe, you know, people getting their head chopped off, their heads exploded with a shotgun, you know, curb stomped. Yeah, it was kind of gory, but in the whole scene, the setting of the scene, it takes in a bar where the powers are out, so you get this red light filter, which really sets the mood, the ambience mood for this. You know, it's like, and it's good for when the blood splatter hits, because you don't see the blood; it just comes in with black spots. There's even a scene where it doesn't really cover the camera, but when he does it, it hits the guy, it hits the lens a little bit.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
So it's not over the top like that. But I like it when these movies are done right. I've seen Grindhouse before with Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino, double film feature, Planet Terror, and what was the other one? Death Proof. Yes. So those are my styles of movies like that. I love that stuff. And this had a stellar cast. I mean, you had what's his name, William Sadler, and then you had
Martin Krove.
Martin Krove, and what was the main guy's name?
The
was
Hammer.
Steve, was it Stephen Lang?
Sadler, I think.
No, William Sadler is.
William
I
Sadler.
think it's. But dude, it's like, it's basically what I expected this movie to be. A bunch of ex-military guys, you know, who fought, you know, they're one air platoon, and someone comes in, they, you know, like, and then being, you know, they shit hits the fan, and these guys, they don't cave. They're like, and then the young punks are like, oh shit, basically, I'm dealing with somebody who actually knows how to kill. So, but the way they did it, the whole this movie, they did the drug, and how they use these people as like almost like they're basically as their little invading army. And how these people attack, they're crazy because they're all in withdrawal from this drug called hype, which basically is the most addictive drug. And they're in like this takes place in like in a town where not even the cops go. It's basically so run down. It's like it's basically all it is addicts there. So when they're coming in, you see there's one scene that you see them and they're trying to get in the bar. You see their arms are reaching out. Like they look like zombies almost. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. Uh, like I said, stellar cast, blood the setting like this, the music, dude, the music was great in this. Holy crap! You get that old like Terminator music, almost like that.
You, sir, you are VFWing all over yourself right now. Keep
Oh,
going.
over everything. Dude, you love Mandy, you guys, and I still haven't seen the other one upgraded, but dude, I love these styles of movies. It's a throwback to what '80s used to be, the '80s movies, man. Like movies, man.
Well,
Everything's majorly CG, and you even get freaking what's his name, George Wendt from from Cheers
yes.
in this.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Well, let's start. Let me touch on a
Uh,
few things that you mentioned
but
there, and
yeah,
we'll dive deeper into
dude,
that. The lighting I liked, and of course, it takes place basically just overnight in a span of a couple hours. A lot of practical effects, most from what I can tell. Red light's also very good for making sure that when you're older, you don't see the wrinkles, and the low light and ambience really helps because this cast obviously are people mostly in their 60s and 70s, I believe, without having looked them all up. But I know Fred Williamson's been around a long time. Most of them have, and we've seen a lot of these guys in roles before. So I agree with you. It was neat to see that, and I like how the movie was very quick. You knew what was going to happen, how it was going to happen. It was just how's it going to unfold with the director. So to me, I agree with pretty much everything you said. My biggest thing at the beginning was I didn't know whether to think of this as a horror or an action movie. Because to me, when I see all these guys together,
boy,
I'm thinking action.
this was action. This is your NC 17 rated, the ones that make these liberals uh basically crap their pants because these guys are using guns, they're using violence, all that stuff. And it's a good guy with a gun fighting bad people. Uh, Obviously, how they vanish their weapons, the dude that they're taking the nails, man, he turns them into like freaking almost like takes the nails between his knuckles and uses it as a brass knuckles with spikes on it.
Oh
And
yeah,
tennis balls, dude, it was ingenious.
yeah.
With the bombs, like nail bombs. I didn't say
Well, I think
this is like Rambo. Like if you mix like the A team kind of with like in a movie like this, but you made the A team like get rid of the PG stuff, made it actually like rated R. You know,
yeah. And so the whole thing here is, a lot of people can say, oh, it's probably a rip off of John Carpenter films or other '80s films and everything too, and
well,
they would be right in a sense. That being said, it doesn't
well,
really
it's
matter
like
that the director's take and vision on this is kind of what you said. It's more of a grindhouse type of effect as opposed to, complete reimaging or whatever. Assault on Precinct
this is
13 comes to
well,
mind, but
yeah,
this
yeah,
is a
yeah,
little different, I think.
but a darker, grittier version of that though. Um,
Certainly with a more, I think, the budget, I think, goes a lot farther, even though this is a small budget film, than what, say, even John Carpenter had. So, to me, the fact that they are creative, here's the thing: no matter what happens in this film, and while it's very predictable, the most interesting thing to me about it, honestly, is not any one particular person. It's the chemistry that they all seem to have with each other. Now, some of them, I believe, have worked together before in certain films, but the fact that they've been in the industry for a very long period of time and they've all had success in whatever roles that they've done, it just comes across as very natural. The way it was talking, I wondered how much of it was improvised versus, okay, scene 42, this is where you sit there and say, go F yourself, or any of those things, or here's your insult. Because really, it's not an anti millennial film, even though there's one or two lines in there that make it funny.
the
They have a
scene,
young soldier basically that comes in, it's a part of their group, and ends up being a very effective part. And he's basically a millennial type generation. But yeah, it's the whole drug thing. Okay, the main guy, he doesn't want drugs in his place. He serves alcohol. They're watching the bad VHS tapes, workout videos. But I actually kind of liked it because early on you got a good introduction with the drug dealer's hit woman, if you want to call it that. And then you get you get the credits rolling, and then of course everybody gets introduced. You see them congregating there in the bar, but then you get a scene where this girl steals from the bad guy, goes across the street to the bar because they're literally kind of like in a parking lot. It's the parking lot of a lodge, and it kind of opens up to the side parking lot of looks like a shopping center, but maybe just a standalone movie theater type. a mid-sized one or smaller one actually by
Did you
80
catch the
standards.
movie at the Did you catch the names of the movies at the theater across the street from them? One of the movies
I
was
looked at them. I don't remember them. There's a couple of them that are unintelligible.
Cyborgs 2. Instead of saying Cyborg 2, was Cyborgs 2. So I
Yeah,
don't know if the director had like the movie Cyborg.
yeah, and here's the thing too. When you're talking about this movie, when they all get together, you started off, and really the soundtrack hadn't really came in yet, but it's a very synth wave, as I would say. That's the current version of people thinking, let me put this kind of music together, make it sound like the '80s. I agree with you. I like the soundtrack though. It really made a difference in this movie. But the scene where when the girl steals from the drug lord, goes across the street to the VFW lodge, and where they're basically, hey, they're playing good guy, bad guy in a way, where the leader goes, I need you to tell me what's going on because, da 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 da. And then Martin Krove basically is like, you're going to tell me what's going on. And I thought, man, this would have been good if you roughed her up a little bit because really, she brought the trouble onto them. I mean, by
Yeah,
going into the place
yeah.
by stealing. So they
The,
kind
the,
of really didn't go there and get really in detail too much when it comes to those things. She ends up helping the group out. And that's fine, but I was like, oh man, they could really be dark in this. And that's why I say, at first, I was thinking of it more of like almost like a thriller, maybe not quite horror, unless there's something about it I didn't know. And then I was like, no, it's just going to be an action film, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But this drug dealer guy, just
yeah,
not
yeah.
buying it. You can wear your skinny jeans. You can have your 3 or 4 little pubic hairs down to your man root area. It's just you weren't a tough guy. Your number 2 woman there was the heavy hitter, and then of course Tank, who does all the tanking. I'm like, really? I mean, he was somewhat amusing. So it was crafty, and there's some good spots in here with gore. But boy, did this movie fly! It was really really quick.
It was. Um, you bring up the whole millennial thing and all. What's just funny is a scene in the back of the. You got this old army truck, and I was kind of disappointed they didn't use the 50 caliber on top of it. That would have been awesome.
Yeah,
But
I was thinking they were going to use that too. Yeah, like just like Rambo.
yeah, yeah. So as the old guy is trying to start the truck, and the young guy's in the back of the he's like, "Can you hurry up?" He's like, all you millennials always in a rush."
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they use the old guy thing to like perfectly, like they're at the bar at the very beginning. They come in, they turn the bar, turn the lights on, the power on, and then they're like, "Ooh, I got your special at VHS," and it's the girls working over like you see on PBS back
Yep,
in the day.
yep.
In 82. He's like, "Come on, you're in the way. The guy's trying to watch a movie." He's
Yeah, I
that's
think.
the
Go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say like they played it to a T. It's just like a bunch of retired old guys who are like in their 70s and like they're like one guy is like they even did the cliche. He's like, "I'm too old for this shit."
Yeah.
Uh, this is what I would expect to be like your low budget Expendables, almost, but a little less corny.
How believable did you think it was, as far as like the
Well,
people being able to do those physical kind of things? Because they didn't get too much hand to hand, just the lead guy did, and that's where I thought it was creative. Okay, how are
well,
they going to take these older
the
people and
old
adapt
guys.
them?
Well, like I said, like after a while, the old guys, their body, if they're depending on what their injuries if they have from war, if they come home with anything, after a while they would wear out. Yes, that's why you saw that one guy who looks like he looks like Richard Roundtree.
Fred
Uh,
Williamson, the Hammer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You see him, he takes a drug, a hype drug, and just snorts it. He just goes crazy. Uh,
Yeah, he does weird stuff like that, and that was one of the best scenes too. He's like, "Hey, it's been a pleasure to serve alongside you guys," and he takes some of the drugs before the big final fight scene, just so he can go nuclear, like he's got magic cokehead powers.
right? Oh, and like I said, like this is it's a good a guy movie to watch with your buddies. Watch this. If you need a good laugh or something, you always watch something that's not going to be completely not woke. There's not a single woke thing in this whole entire movie.
No,
Um,
no.
no,
This is
no,
typical '80s standard fare type movie as far
and
as the way it looks,
and
its
and it,
presentation, the acting, or whatever you want to call it. It definitely reminds me of that. And I'm just simply
and,
saying you're right to identify it early on as something that would come from that.
and it's not hokey like as far as like Night of the Comet or like that. It's like actually takes it. They know what they are. They execute it well. Um, it's high intense action with gore and with an actual good plot. You know, you know.
There's another director out there that makes movies that look like they're 80s movies, and they usually are set in there, and that's a gentleman that makes these small independent horror films called Ty West, which we've not reviewed any of his yet. I think a big part of that is, one of the very small niche films, and as we grow on the channel as well as the horror section, I'm sure we'll be doing some of those. But another reason of that is I wasn't sure really how you would take to it, because I've been learning your reaction to movies as they go on, so I'm glad to hear that you really, really like this, because I thought, okay, this is pretty average action fare when it comes to what I'm used to from the 80s, but then I go,
Dude,
what's out there today that's like this? The answer is not much. So to me, this,
well,
coming out today, it really stands
well,
out, especially with everything
this
that's made.
you and Angleton watched Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yep.
How do you think this is on par with that, or not as good, or maybe better? Because I still want to watch that.
I, I think sometimes when you get to a particular actor, and Rutger Hauer is one of them. We had talked about Hobo with Shotgun when we reviewed when he passed away. Some of his films and selections and performances. Hobo with the Shotgun came up because it was a lot of fun. But by then, you're used to getting the Rutger Hauer performance. You know what you're getting, and I think in a movie like this, because it's an ensemble cast, it's just a different kind of film. So yeah, there's action in it. Yeah, there's this whole grindhouse feel to it and all that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of similarities. To me, like I said, I think the strength of this movie wasn't a particular performance. It was just how well they all seemed to just naturally, chemistry-wise, get along, and
Like
it really, really stood out. Whereas Hobo Shotgun to me is just more of a
now,
solo vehicle.
the only thing would have made this movie a little bit better to plot is the fact that if it wasn't about a gang getting his drugs back, if it was about zombies attacking the bar, and you would it's how like the fact how they create their own weapons. They like, oh, I have 3 bullets left in the 45, and then I got 12 shots here in the shotgun, and like this how they just they're inventive, intuitive, when it comes to stuff like that, the cue sticks with the keg,
Yes.
the traps, dude, like I said, like this would have been cool if it would have been like a zombie movie, because they all have cool ass lines. He's like, like even Martin Krove, man, like he goes to just negotiating. He's like, you think he's just gonna fight it? The dude like starts fighting back.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. Yeah, as far as the main thug though, the main guy, the enemy, the guy who wants his stuff back, I can honestly, I can see him. Even though he's a wimp, I can see people following him because well, if he's the only one that
Yeah,
in the
he's
whole
not a
movie saw
bad-looking
him.
guy, and he seemed more like a smarty pants rather than a
Yeah,
street-level, in command of
the way,
this, really popular drug. They really didn't explore that at all, which they don't. They're not trying to for this kind of movie.
yeah. Trying to think of the guy's name from the 100. There's a guy in there who
Is that Stephen Lang?
uh, no,
Main
no, no,
guy?
no, no.
Okay.
There's a certain actor in there. He has the same kind of thing. He's kind of like a cockroach. He's a wimp. But he has a gun. He cheats. He does what he can to win.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah. See, I haven't read a
like
bunch of
the
his
guy
stuff.
who plays Murphy on the 100. Let me look his name up. I just saw him in another one.
Well, I haven't really looked up while you're looking that up too much information about the director of the film, Joe Bigos, and I think for Joe, it makes me wonder, like Ty West and like Joe and maybe a couple others that may be out there. I've mentioned before, like when we've talked about Stranger Things, about how without having lived through the 80s, I think it's sometimes hard to sit there, and even if you do your due diligence research and talk to everybody, it's sometimes hard to automatically assume that everything you take that you think represents the 80s is going to give you a certain feel is automatically going to translate. I think Stranger Things comes close, but I think it fails in some regards too. But this movie, as far as the feel of it and the way it looks, yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I've always said
Uh,
with John Carpenter, he's had such an influence on younger people that now they're getting to the point where they're in charge and making movies, and they're going, hey, yeah, it's nice to get a job, but now I can make a movie that I want to make, like this particular style. Go do it. And I
mhm.
appreciate that.
Yeah, the guy who's I don't know what guy who plays John Murphy on the 100. His name's Richard Harmon. He's an actor. He was just on. He always does the same role. He's the guy. He's all about him. He'll survive no matter what. He'll sacrifice anybody, and that's how I got the kind of the feeling from this guy, the main actor, playing the villain. he'll sacrifice anybody, even his stupid, because what really set him off is his stupid brother was killed, that's what's kind of like the lock, we call it the lock pin, as far as linchpin, as to say, as far as what caused them the whole thing to go up, because obviously they could have just get the drugs back, but the fact they killed his brother,
Yep.
not knowing. So, but yeah, I just said like this movie, it was, it's not a really like intricate plot. It's not like complicated. It's simple and it works. Sometimes it's that stuff works a lot better than having we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this and then it's like, no, I want A to B. That's all you got to do. Give me from A to B. I don't need all these different like potholes in the middle of the script. I don't need all these extra emotions, background stories, who this is. This movie is you're shoot to kill. Basically, you're even the old the guy at the beginning, the guy who gets hit with the axe in the shoulder. He's the one that was hip, that kind of hippie brought in the weed, the medical marijuana.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, dude, when I saw that guy, the first thing pops in my head is Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson was in a zombie movie, and he comes in, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Oh," he's like, even though he's dying, can I get here? Be a sport, give me another hit. like what? Like I said, this had a great Grindhouse feel. Like Grindhouse meets Expendables. He meets kind of Mary, or not. Yeah, I think this guy was married. But,
well, I tell you,
yeah.
this film for me.
Or Mandy, sorry, not
yeah,
Mary, Mandy.
Some people might look at it and go, "Oh, it's very pro-gun, very pro-violence." Yes, that's the whole point. It's just stylized gore. I mean, that's its thing, and it has its place. But it also, like, I agree with you. It has a great soundtrack. It's not unnecessary exposition where people are rambling and talking all the time. You set the characters up. We don't really care about the bad guys. Some people might go, "Oh, it's anti-drug. This is a super conservative type movie." And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. I just don't. It's just the vehicle for what they're trying to do, and there's a little, not voiceover, but a little bit of a scroll at the beginning that basically says, "Oh, the drug, that's taken over." It's just to set up the whole plot of what's going on. And you're right, going from point A to point B, it's going to happen. How you get there is really the interesting thing. And so when you have a director like Joe Bigos here, who's does it in a certain way, you might not remember the film too much. You might remember just it was kind of neat looking. And then, if a movie comes out 2 or 3 years from now, you go, "Oh, who's this guy? What else has he done? Let me check out one of his films." And that's one of the interesting things, I think, when you follow certain directors and they have a certain type of style or vision or some sort of calling card, if you will, is that you get to know what to expect and you get excited about the way they're going to deliver it to you. Even if it's the same film over and over again and just they do it differently, who cares? That's entertaining. So I agree with you. For a film like this, I'd be willing to go back and look at what films he's done before to go, well, maybe I'll give this one a shot if it's kind of like this style-wise. Maybe I like that one, or maybe I don't like it as much, or maybe I'll try a third one out. So that's the extreme part of the Extreme Movie Show that I always like to point out is the films that we really like and really good, we can say, yeah, it's really written well, or great use of special effects. Ultimately, are we entertained? Because who gives a rat's ass about anything else? Do we really care it's some new street drug? No, they're not trying to have this big message going on. We want to see the chemistry of the actors on there. We want to see them doing something and get shit done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the style of movies I love. I mean, when you have the gore in it, but it's not over the top gore. It's not, the gore is not the whole main part of it. It's part of it. It tells you the realism. Hey, this is what happens. I step on a head. It's gonna cave in.
Yep.
The one scene I started chuckling at is when that guy Tank grabbed one of the junkies, and started bashing his head and using it as a battering ram to get the door open.
Yeah, no, that's kind of silly, but you're like, man, this is brutal. This is a little gruesome. Do they need to do that? Oh my god, it's so gross. Yeah, but you're like, yeah, do it. Let's have fun. Yeah, because you're not seeing this as a serious film, comparing it to Lawrence of Arabia. It has its place, and you're going, I expect to see something like this.
It's not a drama. It's not like Dirty Harry, where it's like a drama / action. There's suspense. This is basically what it is. This is a bunch of old guys basically kicking the crap out of all these young junkie, and just for one last hurrah. And they keep the plot at the end like that. Like the thing is, because originally it's Fred's birthday. And they call him old man. He's like, you call me old man now, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. It's like, because he's hated. And at the end, it's like the guy's like, you know what? Happy birthday, Fred. It's like,
Yeah, and it
Uh,
has a happy ending. Basically, they basically kill the bad guy in a very violent manner at the end with a truck, but they have the drugs or they have one piece of the drugs, and they're like, well, "How much do you think this is worth?" And the girl that kind of got him in all the trouble, but ends up being on her side, says, "Well, enough to fix this place up and maybe then some." So that's pretty much kind of how it ends. And you know what? When you see something as simple and easy as what this film appears to be, it makes you wonder, hey, why isn't there like a 12 at 1 hour episode thing on Netflix that you has, hey, this is something like this but fleshed out, where
yeah,
one episode is the drug dealers, another one is the girl that steals the stuff. I mean, you could flesh it out and there might be some fluff, but I look at something like this and go, God, it's so simple. Why isn't more films taking that approach? But
and I like to
those
think
are
that
my final thoughts. What about you?
I like to think at the end of this movie, they don't show it, is that Fred and that girl actually, like, become good friends. Like she takes care of him, he takes care of her. Maybe because he rebuilds the bar, maybe he gives her a job. Because where they are, it's not really a nice place. It's like she almost, it looks like she'd been living on the streets almost.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but I think the thing is a happy ending like that, even though they don't really say it. But final thoughts, dude. I give this movie a 9 out of 10, man. Um,
Wow, strong
the, re-
praise.
the reason I don't give it a 10 because they used the 50 cal.
And there's no nudity.
Oh, well, I don't, with all the actors in there, I don't think I really wanted to see any nudity.
That would have been extreme.
Uh, and it's very patriotic, man. That one girl, he uses her as a flagpole stand. You remember that scene that I'm
I
talking
do.
about?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Bennett scene.
When I saw that,
Stick around, let up some
wait,
steam.
the thing is, I knew it was gonna when it before it happened. I knew it was gonna, like, she's gonna get pale. But I'm like, the second part, I was like, what the hell? I was like, that's awesome because it caught me off guard. You know, I like them being predictable, but I also like when they have throw little curves in there. It's like, and it's not like a bad, like, twist. It's something like, oh man, that's even better what I originally hoped was gonna happen.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you. I'll be honest. I kind of was like, yeah, what is this? Do I really want to see it? And I started watching. I'm like, okay, I get it. And then, like I say, after the first uh, one or two acts of violence, I was like, okay, here we go. And it was a pleasant ride, so I enjoyed it too. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. You got nothing better to do if you want, again, that stylized kind of feel to it, that grindhouse with the music, with the violence, the straight action to it. It's a bit atmospheric too, so it checks all those
Yeah,
boxes off. I don't think it tries to be more than it should be. We've recently talked briefly offline about Fantasy Island, potentially reviewing that here soon as well, about how just poor that's going to look. But this movie has the same thing that movie has going for it in terms of it looks good. It's Fantasy Island might have a bigger budget and all that, but doesn't mean it's going to be as entertaining as
uh,
this. So
the last the last time I checked that, it was behind Birds of Prey still. It was in third place.
okay, yeah,
So it may not do as well as we hope it to. But I'm curious. I have to look up this movie to see how well it did. Because this is a very good movie, in my opinion. And be damned if anybody tells me wrong.
it just proves that you make something that's stylistic and it's got a flair to it and it's recognizable. You're going to attract an audience, and the great thing about trying to be somebody that you are as far as a unique
I,
vision,
and
it's going to cut
and
through all the nonsense a lot quicker. You're not trying to appeal to every particular audience, but it's
my
the audience
my
that will find you.
my final message is to Vince McMahon: if you want to have red lights in an arena, bring some gore and some shotguns.
They did that. It's called the
The,
Boogeyman.
the Fiend, who's not really that much scary guy.
Yeah. All right, well,
So
Doctor, thanks for showing up, being a guest again tonight. Ed, thanks for joining in the chat as usual. I know you're a big fan of that stuff. I'm curious if you've seen it, what you think about it. For myself, for Alien Teen of I Love Comics, stay extreme, guys. Have a good night.
cheers, guys.